Wait, did you know Inter Miami's entire season nearly collapsed before Lionel Messi turned everything around? Because what you're about to see isn't just a win, it's the moment that changed MLS history. How did a struggling team transform into champions? And what shocking decision behind the scenes made it all possible? Stay with me because the twist of the end will flip the whole story on it. Head will explain everything in this video, step by step, don't skip it. And ladies and gentlemen, what a night. Inter Miami have done it. They've climbed the mountain, survived the chaos, silenced every critic, and tonight they stand at the summit of American football. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami have defeated Vancouver to lift their first ever MLS Cup title. And this stadium is shaking like it's trying to launch into orbit. Just think about the magnitude of this moment. This wasn't just a final, this was a pressure cooker, a tactical tug of war, a mental marathon. Vancouver came in hungry, fearless, ready to rewrite the script. They pressed, they frustrated, they defended like warriors, and for a moment it felt like fate was teasing Miami yet again. But champions find a way, even when the door looks locked, sealed and bolted shut. And then, oh yes, the magic, that one pass, that one spark, that one moment only Lionel Messi can summon. He threads a ball so perfect you'd think he painted it with a laser. The stadium rises, Miami break through, and suddenly the match flips on its head. Momentum explodes, confidence surges, and you could feel Vancouver gripping on for dear life. Inter Miami weren't just playing football, they were playing destiny. Every tackle, every sprint, every roar from the crowd felt like it was pulling them toward history. The drama, off the charts. The struggle, real. The belief, unshakable. And look at Messi, 37 years of brilliance carrying the pressure of an entire franchise, rewriting American soccer culture one touch at a time. You can see it in his eyes. This wasn't about fame, this wasn't about hype, this was about proving that dreams built with sweat, trust, and a little bit of magic can become reality. Miami's defense holding the line, the midfield fighting like lions, the attack slicing forward with ruthless precision. It was all fueled by one mission, bring the MLS Cup home. Vancouver pushed them right to the edge. They threw bodies forward, they hammered crosses into the box, and at times Miami were hanging on by the eyelashes. But champions don't crumble, they rise. And tonight, Miami rose like giants. This victory isn't just a trophy, it's a statement. It's Miami telling the world we belong at the top. It's Messi proving once again why he is the heartbeat of every team he touches. And it's a reminder that football is not just a sport, it's theatre, it's emotion, it's chaos, it's beauty. Inter Miami, MLS Cup champions for the first time ever. A story of struggle, belief, magic and pure unstoppable passion. And if this is what the Messi era delivers, buckle up because the ride has only just begun. Inter Miami clinched their first ever MLS Cup title after a dramatic victory over Vancouver, a moment that felt like the culmination of a dream stitched together through tension, grit and flashes of breathtaking brilliance. From the opening whistle, you could sense that this wasn't just another match, it was a night loaded with expectation, pressure thick enough to feel in the air. And the kind of energy that only comes when history is weighing somewhere on the other side of 90 minutes. Miami stepped onto the pitch carrying the weight of a season filled with doubts, comebacks and relentless scrutiny, while Vancouver arrived determined to spoil the party, determined to prove that heart and discipline can shake even the most star-studded opponent. The match opened with Vancouver playing fearless football, pressing with determination, denying spaces and forcing Miami into uncomfortable zones. Every time Messi or Busquets touched the ball, Vancouver's midfield snapped like a trap, disrupting rhythm and refusing to give Miami the time they usually thrive on. For long stretches, it felt like Miami were swinging between anxiety and opportunity, unable to fully settle, unable to take control in the way their fans expected. Vancouver's defensive line stood tall, their goalkeeper commanding the space, their attackers pushing just enough to keep Miami on edge. The underdog energy in Vancouver's play was unmistakable. They weren't here to make up the numbers. They were here to write their own version of history. But finals are decided by moments, and Miami's breakthrough arrived in the kind of moments only big games create. A sequence that began with patient build-up suddenly ignited into life as Messi drifted into the half space, drawing defenders with him like metal to a magnet. With one perfectly weighted pass, soft enough to control, sharp enough to split, he unlocked Vancouver's shape and sent the stadium erupting into chaos. The timing, the vision, the precision of that touch signaled a shift, an emotional wave that Miami rode like a team suddenly awakened to their destiny. You could see confidence swelling in every pass, every run, every daring attempt that followed. Vancouver responded with the courage that got them to this stage, pushing forward, asking questions of Miami's backline, forcing blocks, tackles and desperate clearances. There were stretches where Miami's defence felt stretched to its breaking point, moments when the entire stadium inhaled as Vancouver came inches away from flipping the match back into turmoil. Yet each time Miami held firm, not with ease but with stubborn determined resistance. Every clearance, every sprint back into position, every recovery tackle was a reminder that championships don't come from talent alone, they come from fight. As time ticked forward, Miami's belief grew stronger. The crowd's energy seemed to pour fuel into their legs, turning fatigue into adrenaline, turning pressure into purpose. The closer the final whistle came, the louder the roars grew, like the entire city was pushing them across the finish line. And when the moment finally arrived, when Miami sealed their historic first MLS Cup title, the eruption of emotion felt like an exhale years in the making. Lionel Messi delivers a pivotal performance, showcasing leadership and clutch play under pressure, turning a tense MLS Cup final into yet another chapter of his never-ending legacy. From the first moments of the match, even before he touched the ball, you could feel the expectations surrounding him. Every eye in the stadium tracked his movement. Every defender measured their distance. Every Vancouver player seemed to understand that keeping him quiet was the key to disrupting Miami's rhythm. Yet Messi, as he's done his entire career, didn't force the game, he read it, he shaped it, he let it unfold until the moment was right for him to strike. Throughout the opening exchanges, Vancouver crowded him relentlessly, doubling up in midfield, shadowing every run, closing the passing lanes. He typically manipulates with ease. And still, his presence alone altered the flow of the game. Even when he wasn't directly involved, he bent the match around him. Players hesitated to push forward because Messi lingered in space behind them. Midfielders stayed tight to him, opening gaps elsewhere. Vancouver's strategy revolved around him, their energy consumed by containing. The one player capable of changing everything in a blink. But great players don't need space, they create it. Messi began drifting deeper, dragging defenders into uncomfortable zones, linking passes with the calmness of someone who has lived through 1,000 nights like this. His touches were simple at first, almost deceptive in their quietness, but each one carried purpose. He was probing, reading, waiting. Miami's younger players fed off his composure, their nerves settling as they found his feet, their confidence rising every time he orchestrated a sequence. Then came the moment that broke the tension like lightning splitting the sky. Messi picked up the ball near midfield, a cluster of Vancouver shirts around him, and instead of panicking or forcing a run, he paused just long enough to freeze the defenders. With a turn so smooth it felt like a trick of the light, he slipped between two challengers and released. A pass threaded so sharply that the stadium gasped before it even registered what had happened. That single action cracked Vancouver's structure wide open, leading to the breakthrough that shifted the entire match. It wasn't just a pass, it was a reminder of why Messi remains the heartbeat of every team he leads. From that moment onward, he elevated the entire squad. His presence on the ball forced Vancouver deeper, his distribution accelerated, Miami's tempo and his decisions dictated where the pressure flowed. Even when he wasn't directly assisting or scoring, he controlled the emotional temperature of the match. When Miami needed calm, he slowed the play. When they needed urgency, he quickened it. When Vancouver launched late attacks, Messi tracked back, shouted instructions, gestured teammates into position, his leadership extending far beyond his technical brilliance. As the final minutes approached, the entire stadium watched his every move, sensing he was guiding Miami through the storm, controlling the game not just with skill, but with experience carved from countless finals across continents and eras. Through grit, vision, and an unwavering competitive fire, Messi turned a high-pressure final into a platform to once again show why he is the defining force of modern football. Vancouver pushed Miami to the limit with high intensity, defensive resilience, and late-game pressure, turning the MLS Cup final into a true test of character for Inter Miami and transforming what many expected to be a one-sided showcase into a fiercely contested battle. From the very beginning, Vancouver approached the match with a boldness that caught Miami off guard. They didn't sit deep. They didn't wait for mistakes. They created chaos from the opening whistle. Their midfield pressed in waves. Their forwards chased every loose touch. And their defenders stepped high, refusing to let Messi and his teammates dictate the flow of the game. You could see in their eyes that they weren't intimidated by the star power in front of them. If anything, they were energized by the challenge, determined to flip the narrative and fight for their own piece of MLS history. Throughout the early stages, Vancouver's organization was stunning. Every time Miami tried to build from the back, Vancouver closed the gaps instantly. Passing lanes vanished in seconds, pressure arrived from all angles, and Miami, usually so smooth in possession, found themselves struggling to find rhythm. Vancouver's defensive structure worked like a machine, each player moving in perfect sync. Their fullbacks surged forward with confidence, their wingers tracked back tirelessly, and their central defenders held the line with a discipline that showed just how finely prepared they were for this moment. Every duel, every interception, every clearance seemed to amplify their belief that they could break Miami's momentum. Their attacking moments were equally impressive. Vancouver didn't just press, they countered with venom. Whenever Miami misplaced a pass or hesitated on the ball, Vancouver pounced. surging forward with intent. Their quick transitions forced Miami's defense into emergency mode, creating nervy moments that had the entire stadium gasping. Shots flew from distance, crosses whipped into the box, and Miami's keeper was called into action multiple times. Those attacking surges weren't reckless. They were sharp, calculated, and designed to test Miami's composure under stress. And they succeeded. For long stretches, Miami looked rattled. Their normally fluid lines disrupted by Vancouver's relentless tempo. As the match progressed into the second half, Vancouver's belief only grew stronger. You could see it in their body language, the confidence in their tackles, the urgency in their runs, the fire in their pressing. They forced Miami's stars into uncomfortable positions, pinned the midfield deep, and threatened repeatedly on set pieces. Every ball into the box felt dangerous. Every loose ball sparked a battle. Every second seemed to tilt the drama higher. Vancouver made the final look like a pendulum swinging wildly, one mistake away from rewriting the entire story of the night. Then came the late game pressure, the kind that defines finals. Vancouver threw everything forward in the closing stages, pushing Miami to their absolute limit. They won corners, launched long balls, and overloaded the flanks, forcing Miami's defence to block, scramble and survive with barely any breathing room. Each clearance felt like a temporary escape, each tackle a crucial lifeline. Vancouver's determination turned the final minutes into a siege, a storm of energy and ambition that could have undone any team lacking mental strength. Through intensity, tactical bravery and a refusal to back down, Vancouver transformed the final into a gripping contest, proving that heart, discipline and fearless football can challenge even the brightest stars on the biggest stage. Miami's teamwork, belief and tactical discipline proved decisive in swinging momentum their way, turning a tense and unpredictable final into a showcase of collective courage and synchronized effort that ultimately separated them from Vancouver when it mattered most. From the moment they realized Vancouver wasn't going to sit back or respect reputations, Miami adjusted, not with panic but with unity. Every player bought into the idea that this match would not be won by individual brilliance alone. It would require coordination, trust, and a willingness to fight for every inch of space on the pitch. The communication between the lines became sharper, the pressing more organised, and the transition smoother as they slowly began piecing together the rhythm that Vancouver disrupted early on. In the heart of midfield, Miami's players worked like a pivoting engine, passing markers off to one another and rotate positions with precision that came from months of training and countless moments of adversity throughout the season. They understood that maintaining shape was crucial, that one lapse in concentration could open gaps Vancouver were eager to exploit. This discipline allowed them to gradually reclaim control of possession, stretch the field, and open pockets where their more creative players could begin influencing the match. Miami didn't rush their decisions, they moved with purpose, building play patiently, ensuring every pass had meaning. The belief within the squad became more visible with each successful sequence. Players who looked hesitant in the opening stages began demanding the ball. The backline stepped forward with greater confidence. The wide players started taking on defenders again, trusting that even if they lost the ball, the system behind them was strong enough to absorb pressure. It was a collective mental lift, a reminder that finals reward teams who trust the process and lean on each other when the stakes rise. When the breakthrough moment arrived, it wasn't the result of luck or a defensive mistake, it was the product of Miami's movement, spacing and commitment to playing through pressure with cohesion. The passing triangle that created the opening was a perfect example of their discipline. One player drawing out a defender, another sliding into space, a third making the forward run to exploit the gap. Everything clicked, because everyone understood their role. When the chance was converted, it felt like a release of all the built-up tension, a confirmation that their system, their structure, and their belief in one another were finally bearing fruit. As Vancouver pushed back with increasing intensity late in the match, Miami's teamwork became even more crucial. Their defensive line worked in unison, stepping and retreating together like a single unit. Midfielders sprinted 30 or 40 yards to cover spaces for teammates caught upfield. Forwards tracked back and helped double-team dangerous runners. Every player was willing to do the unseen work, the gritty, exhausting, selfless actions that prevent goals and preserve leads. Their tactical discipline shone brightest during these final frantic minutes. Instead of collapsing under pressure, they stayed compact, communicated constantly, and cleared their lines with intelligence rather than desperation. They slowed the tempo when necessary, broke up Vancouver's momentum with smart fouls, and pushed forward in short bursts to relieve pressure. It was a masterclass in game management, not orchestrated by one star, but executed by an entire squad unified under one mission. Through unity, belief in the system, and unwavering tactical discipline, Miami turned a chaotic high-stakes final into a demonstration of what a championship team looks like when every individual commits to the collective cause the win marks. A historic milestone for the franchise, and solidifies the Messi era as a transformative force in MLS. A moment that transcends the boundaries of one match and sends ripples through the league, the fan base and the global football community. For Inter Miami, this isn't just a trophy to place in a cabinet, it is the culmination of a vision that began long before the final whistle. A vision built on ambition, star power, and the belief that a club founded only a few years ago could rise to the pinnacle of American soccer. Winning their first MLS Cup isn't just a sporting achievement, it is a cultural shift, a redefining moment that places Miami firmly on the map as a powerhouse rather than a project still under construction. From the moment Lionel Messi arrived, expectations skyrocketed. Around the world, fans, critics and rivals questioned whether his presence could truly reshape a club still finding its identity. What unfolded over the season was proof that legends don't just bring magic, they bring standards. Messi elevated everything, the tempo of training sessions, the mentality within the locker room, the confidence of younger players, and the belief that Inter Miami could compete at a level never seen before. This title stands as a testament to that transformation. It represents the first tangible reward for the culture and competitive revolution sparked by his influence. For the franchise, the victory symbolizes the crossing of an invisible threshold. Miami are no longer the new kids trying to assemble a formula that works. They are champions who have proven that star-studded ambition can blossom into tangible success when paired with smart planning, strong leadership, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. The final itself showcased not just Messi's brilliance, but the maturity of a team that has grown into its identity piece by piece. Winning the MLS Cup validates that growth, proving that the club's foundation is strong, its philosophy effective, and its future full of promise. The significance stretches beyond Miami's locker room. The league itself feels the impact. The Messi era has already brought unprecedented global attention to MLS, but this triumph amplifies it. A global icon lifting the league's top trophy instantly elevates the competition status, drawing new viewers, new investment, and new levels of credibility. It signals to fans worldwide that MLS is not a final stop on a star. His career is a battleground where legends can still shape history. Messi's involvement in a championship run turns what could have been a farewell tour into a legacy-defining chapter, one that reshapes the perception of American soccer. For Miami supporters, both new and lifelong, this title becomes a piece of emotional history. It solidifies memories, creates stories to tell future generations, and sparks an identity rooted in pride rather than potential. Supporters who once dreamed of witnessing nights like this now have a lived experience to hold on to. The celebration radiates through the city, through fan sections, through families who pack the stadium week after week, believing that something special was building. And for players beyond Messi, their win validates their own contributions. The new signings, the academy graduates, the veterans who believed in the project, all become part of a foundational moment that will be remembered for decades. This victory is the moment Inter Miami evolves from a club with aspirations into a club with a legacy, marking the beginning of an era defined not just by talent but by achievement, unity, and the transformative presence of a legend who helped turn belief into reality. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.